If you've ever watched the news and heard a reporter say something like, GDP growth has slowed this quarter, and found yourself wondering what that actually means, you're in the right place. In this video, I'm going to demystify gross domestic product, or GDP. We'll break down what it is, how it's calculated, and most importantly, what this giant abstract number has to do with your everyday life, your job, and your wallet. Let's get started. So, let's start with the most basic question. What is GDP? GDP stands for Gross Domestic Product. That might sound complex, but the concept is actually quite straightforward. GDP is the total value of everything, all the goods and services produced within a country's borders over a specific time, usually a year or a quarter. Think about it. Every car that rolls off an assembly line, every loaf of bread baked, every smartphone sold, every doctor's consultation, every coffee served, every movie ticket purchased, if it's produced within the country and has a price tag, it contributes to the GDP. In essence, GDP is a country's economic report card. It's a single massive number that tries to capture the entire economic output of a nation. When it's going up, the economy is generally considered to be growing. When it's going down, it's a sign of economic trouble. Now, this leads to a practical question. How on earth do you calculate the value of everything? Economists have a few methods, but the most common and easiest to understand way is to look at all the spending in the economy. This is called the expenditure approach, and it's built on a famous formula. That formula is GDP equals C plus I plus G plus X minus M. Now, let's take a moment to unpack what each of these letters means. I'll explain it first as the formula and then in simple words. C stands for consumption. This is spending by all of us, the general public. It includes everything we buy for our daily lives: food, housing, clothes, electronics, healthcare, and entertainment. This is by far the largest component of GDP in most economies. We are the primary engine of economic activity. I stands for investment. Now, this is crucial. In GDP terms, investment does not mean buying stocks or bonds. Instead, it refers to business investment. This is money that companies spend to be more productive in the future. It includes building new factories, buying new machinery, constructing office buildings, and even building new houses. It's all about expanding the economy's capacity to produce. G stands for government spending. This is what it sounds like: spending by all levels of government, federal, state, and local, on goods and services. This includes paying teachers, building roads, funding the military, and running public services. An important point: this does not include transfer payments like Social Security or unemployment benefits. Those are simply moving existing money around, not paying for a new current service. Finally, we have X minus M. Here, X stands for exports and M stands for imports. Exports X are goods and services we produce domestically and sell to other countries. Imports M are goods and services produced abroad that we buy and bring into the country. We subtract imports M for a very good reason. The money we spent on those imported goods was already counted in our consumption C, business investment I, or government spending G. But since that product wasn't made here, we have to remove it to get a true measure of our domestic production. So, to state the entire formula in a single sentence of plain English: GDP equals consumer spending, plus business investment, plus government spending, plus exports minus imports. When you add all of that spending together, you arrive at the gross domestic product. Now that we know how GDP is calculated, we need to understand a critical distinction: the difference between nominal GDP and real GDP. Nominal GDP is the raw number. It's the total value of goods and services calculated using current market prices. The problem with this is that if prices rise due to inflation, nominal GDP will also rise, even if we are producing the exact same amount of stuff as last year. It can create an illusion of growth. This is why real GDP is so important. Real GDP adjusts for inflation. It measures the value of output using the prices from a base year. By holding prices constant, real GDP tells us whether we are actually producing more goods and services, or if the value is just higher because everything costs more. When you hear a news headline like, "The economy grew by 3% this quarter," they are always referring to the growth rate of real GDP. This is the number that matters for understanding true economic expansion.